elite team in a division with the Chargers roster, the Broncos
the
roster.
Terrifying Chargers. The Chargers who last won a playoff game with Phillip Rivers. I got to bow at the altar of your silly Chargers, who every year either miss the playoffs in embarrassing fashion or make the playoffs and lose in even more embarrassing fashion. I don't want to hear about the Chargers. Now, the Broncos,
Right. Let me tell you what I'm hearing in that clip. I'll be upfront with you. I generally try to avoid making these kinds of observations, because they tend to get repeated to the point of being meaningless. A lot of the time, these hot takes are just flat out incorrect. They miss the mark entirely. The way that short soundbite lands with me, it paints a very specific picture. It feels like one organization is executing a series of brilliant moves, consistently climbing upward. Meanwhile, the other side seems to be clinging to hope, crossing their fingers, and praying that past glory can simply be replicated. They're just begging for it. Come on, let's go, let's go. Patrick Mahomes, we trust in you. Andy, come on, just a few more elite years, we're begging you. I mean, let's think about it. Who made the better coaching hire? Was it Mike McDaniel or Eric Bieniemy? Who had the superior season last year? Consider that both teams supposedly had weak offensive lines, subpar receiving core, and an inconsistent rushing attack. Which team had the better season? Who had the better quarterback? Was it the Chargers? Was it Justin Herbert? Yes, it was, wasn't it? Which quarterback performed better under pressure and showed more resilience? Was it Justin Herbert? Yes, that's right, it was. Who's projected to have a more dynamic, creative, and forward-thinking offense? Is it the Chargers? Yes, it is. That's the team. Interesting. And then you want to bring up something that happened in the past, some embarrassing moment, and use that as your argument? It just makes me think, really? Let's look at the past 2 seasons. Things have not unfolded according to plan for the Kansas City Chiefs. Their seasons have not ended well. This is where I completely reject the argument that says, well, the Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl and lost. At least they got there. When you compare a wild card game loss to a Super Bowl loss, you're missing the core point. At its heart, it's still a football game. The fundamental nature of it doesn't change. So, if you're going to use the excuse that a bad offensive line led to a specific outcome, whether it's the Super Bowl or a Week 5 game, you can't pick and choose when that logic applies. Either that factor matters, or it doesn't. You can't have it both ways. So, I don't want to hear that selective reasoning. And I also don't want to rewind the clock with the Chargers to an era when they were led by a head coach who will never hold that position in the NFL again. Why should that history have any relevance to me? What does that prove? We are in 2026. It's 2026. Let's not forget, the fact that the Chargers even secured a playoff spot was remarkable. Considering how severely their roster was depleted, again, if they had won a playoff game, they would have done so with what could be considered the worst offensive line in NFL history. They would have been that team. They would have set the record for the worst offensive line ever to win a postseason game. That's simply the truth. So, the fact that they managed to reach the playoffs at all is genuinely impressive. It's a significant achievement. It's quite extraordinary. And yet, there's this persistent narrative that the Chargers are a non-factor. That they're a laughingstock. An embarrassment. That they're irrelevant, and so on. That's what happens when you view a situation through such a narrow, limited perspective. When someone claims that Justin Herbert has never been elite, or never been great, I recall making a video about it, so I'm aware of the take. I think it was never been elite. Either way, it's nonsense. It's subjectively, objectively, and statistically incorrect. It's simply wrong, because he has been elite. That's obvious to anyone paying attention. It's actually quite amusing because it reminds me of a segment from John Middlecoff. He essentially said that if you're questioning Justin Herbert's greatness, with all due respect, you simply don't know what you're talking about. He implied there's no point in continuing the discussion. That was his stance. Now, I'm not saying that myself, that's what he said. But it makes me laugh that there's still a debate about Justin Herbert. Because if you truly respected Herbert and acknowledged he's a great quarterback, then downplaying the Chargers makes no logical sense. That argument would have no validity whatsoever. Now, think about the conversation currently taking place, focused solely on the division. We're not even talking about Super Bowl contention. But to act as if the Chargers are so far removed from contention that they're essentially irrelevant, that you don't have to worry about them in the division, or even about the 2 games you play against them each year, let alone their ability to win the division or at least affect your seeding if you're the Chiefs, it's just absurd. Is that really the level of respect we have for the Chargers? Does that make any sense? It doesn't. That line of thinking is completely illogical. Consider this team has improved every single year under Jim Harbaugh. Every season so far. And that's with an offensive line that was decimated. A running game that was expected to be one thing but ended up being something entirely different. They managed to turn things around quickly and continued to evolve and get better. Look at what they accomplished with the worst offensive line in the NFL. Are we really going to sit here and pretend that this team wouldn't have been significantly better if its offensive line hadn't been destroyed? Are we just going to ignore that as a factor? Because we apply this logic inconsistently. When an offensive line is terrible and a team loses, we say, well, the O-line was awful, what did you expect him to do? That statement implies that with a better offensive line, the team would have been better. If I asked Chiefs fans in 2024, if you had a better O-line, would the Super Bowl have been closer? They'd say, absolutely. Patrick Mahomes would have had a much better year. They'd agree completely. Okay. So why don't we extend that same logic to Justin Herbert and the Chargers? Again, how does that make sense? This is also why comparing Bieniemy and McDaniel is so humorous to me. I talk to Chiefs fans who say, now that Bieniemy is here, the offense is going to be so different and so much better. Ever since he left, the offense hasn't been the same. But the Chargers just hired Mike McDaniel. Another established, highly regarded offensive coordinator with a legitimate track record. Let's be honest, that track record is superior to Bieniemy's. And yet, the Chargers and Justin Herbert aren't going to benefit from that. So, let me get this straight, when positive changes happen for the Chiefs, they lead to positive outcomes. Okay. But when positive changes happen for the Chargers, they lead to no outcome? Or perhaps even a negative outcome? That logic doesn't hold up. When negative circumstances affect the Chiefs, it's well, obviously, what do you expect? Look at the situation. But when negative circumstances affect the Chargers, that's just the Chargers. No excuses. It's just strange. I wasn't aware the rules worked that way. It's like playing a video game where the fundamental rules are constantly being broken. Seriously. It's like trying to play Madden, but the game is following the rules of Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog. You'd see Saquon Barkley curl into a ball and start speeding through space, then blast through to the end zone, and you'd be thinking, what was that? And someone would just say, I don't know, that's what Sonic does. Or you'd see Josh Allen grab a mushroom and suddenly become twice the size of everyone else, and you'd be like, what is happening? You're just breaking the established rules, playing by a different set of laws altogether. And that's not how reality works. Man. That's not how any of this works. I wish this world were like Mario, where there are just gold coins floating in the air. I'd just jump up, touch them, and get richer. That would be fantastic. I'd love that. Honestly, make a Madden game with that feature. I'd be all over it. Get on that. It's kind of what NFL Blitz was like. Bring that back. But I prefer to keep my reality grounded. When it comes to games and fantasy, I like them to be far removed from actual life. Sign me up for a game about a plumber traveling to another world. But when we're talking about actual reality, Justin Herbert is elite. The Chargers are evolving and improving. And they are a legitimate threat to any team, especially, let's check the notes, the team in their own division that they face multiple times a year and will be directly competing against for the division title, playoff positioning, and favorable seeding. Yeah. I think that's a team worth considering. I know, it sounds crazy coming from me. I'm the delusional one. I'm the one who's out of touch. I apologize for my insane, over-the-top hot takes. I'm only saying this to get views and clicks. I'm sorry. I don't know any better. I know it's a weak, baseless take to suggest the Chargers will be competitive and could create problems for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sorry. I'm also the one who said Tom Brady was the worst quarterback in the NFL, and that MJ is overrated, and LeBron is overrated. I know, I just have the craziest takes. That's who I am. But those are simply my thoughts. I'd genuinely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Chargers and their potential as a direct threat to the Kansas City Chiefs? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Whether you agree or disagree, let's get some discussions going. Let's have some debates, but ultimately, let's just have fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. I want to create something we all feel connected to, something we're excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it genuinely helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.